had happened bad, and that's it. And then 3 weeks later, all I know is we're going to America. I'm like, huh? I was like, we're going to America. Like, what's going on?
De Alto Cedro voy para Marcané, llego a Puerto voy para Mayarín.
I've been here for 10 years.
Did you move from Europe or did you move from here, from Argentina?
From Argentina.
So what was that whole process like?
I rather don't talk about that if you
De
don't mind.
Alto Cedro voy para Marcané, llego a Puerto voy para Mayarín.
When they show about Ethiopia, it's always about the bad stuff, so on and so forth. But with the news over there, what they project about America, it's like that's the place to be. You know, my grandma calls it the second world. In any country, there's poverty, but the poverty back home overrides the wealth. You know, so they got a weak government. You know what I'm saying? They got a dictator behind the table. You know. It's not about the people, it's about him, you feel me? You know, and they got tribes, different tribes, you know, there's Oromo, Tigre, Amara, Gurage, you know, different kind of tribes that are all there, and they're all fighting for land. You know, that's how the war ended up, you know, Eritrea claiming their own independence. I remember it was morning time, my mom picked me up off the bed, threw me on the ground. All I heard was, just all kind of, I tried to creep on top of the window, look outside. My mother snatched me, threw me on the ground. The Eritreans were going to people's houses and checking for weapons. My mother took a plastic gun that my dad had bought me as a toy. She went and buried it in the ground. At 4 or 5 days, my dad didn't come home because they had arrested him and stuff. And yeah, those were the bad times, man. I can only honestly say the only bad time I had in Ethiopia was those 2 weeks after Eritrea won the war against Ethiopia, because I didn't know what was going on. One of the favorite things that, you know, we did was play soccer. You know what I'm saying? And soccer was it. And you didn't have, especially from my memory, from me growing up, you know, in the areas that I live, we didn't have a soccer ball. We get like one soccer ball, and if it goes flat, it's like the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? So, but what we used to make soccer balls out of is our dad's socks. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm putting it out there, and then we used to go get a pair of socks a piece and make a soccer ball out of it, and just go on ahead and just throw down, you know, put down the tournament. And then as we played more and more, especially me and my friends and stuff, started hanging out with the older guys. We used to go to different villages and challenge, make trophies out of coat hangers, little league, big league, you know, and go ahead and throw it down. By the end of the night, time goes fast, and we back at the house, you know. It's a lot of times what brings back home is when I'm listening to reggae music or Bob Marley, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was working to think about, I've thought about back home, just different songs, but because the history between Ethiopians and Jamaicans is so deep, you know what I mean? When they say Rastafari, you know, when they say Rastafari, that's the king of Ethiopia. That's Haile Selassie, you know, so the strength of your hair, the dreads, is the strength of a lion, you know, and back when it was kings and queens in Ethiopia, part of the flag in the middle was a lion, you know what I mean? So every time I listen to Bob Marley, I can't point out a specific song, you know, just every time I listen to reggae music, man, it brings back home, man. Oh man, Rambo.
Other than Rambo.
Man, I'm telling you, man, it was hardly every time we watched TV. We had one TV that was out our house. My dad, if I touched it with my hand, it would have been a whipping. Like, they always only watch World Cup, soccer tournaments. And the only movie I remember, man, literally, is Rambo. Because they came every summer, they have a big theater. And, man, I left that movie theater like, man, I thought I was Rambo. For real, like, I thought, Rambo's the only thing, man. See, here in the States, man, you have two roads. You know, you can either go to the right or to the left. And with both roads you take, if you do mess up, if you don't do right, you get a chance. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, so culture change, yeah, definitely. I came to the States, started listening to Tupac and Coolio, and then the next thing I know, you know, East Coast, West Coast, and then, you know, but then I got adapted to that culture of, hey man, fast speed, and yeah, I'm American.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a
Argentina's there's layers, and they're very well defined, and so if you maintain yourself at that level, it's sort of, you're always going to be there. You know what I mean? It's like if your dad is a lawyer, maybe most likely you will be a lawyer. If you're, most likely, but the layers are very well defined, and so and it's hard to break through the layers. It sort of seems like as if they almost keep it like that throughout the generations. There's very little crossover in between what type of people marry what type of people, and where people go to school, and what hospitals people, you know what I mean? And it's very well defined, and so being so closed and so narrow-minded towards opening, well, maybe not narrow-minded, they just keep it like that, and so it just gives the majority of the people very little opportunity to break through those barriers. I guess I can relate back to the disappearances of the military. I think that, but also the level of corruption. I mean, that's embarrassing. I don't know. Well, there's corruption everywhere, but I guess the level of corruption and just the lack of justice for anything is. I think that Argentina sets the standard for the rest of South America, or maybe Latin world, in some aspects, and so that I think that part of it just kind of like completely shoots us all down, like that it kind of sort of creates a bad image for like people that are not like that, and so that's embarrassing sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Me parece que soy de la clase que vio el Mundial 78. Me tocó creciendo viendo a mi alrededor paranoia y dolor. La moneda cayó por el lado de la soledad. It's a love song that talks about when Argentina won the World Cup in 1978 and how the military government that was responsible for the death and disappearance of 30,000 people staged the World Cup as to cover what really was going on, and so it's what he talks about and what position he looks at some of the things that happened during that World Cup, and so it's a meaningful song to, although I don't necessarily have somebody who disappeared, but it kind of blew a generation. A generation just vanished, and so it just kind of, going a little back to maybe what you said about nationalism and stuff like that. Those were the things that maybe were important and that would be musically affected, and you know what I mean. So that's a good representation of something that's very much alive in everybody in Argentina until this day. It's something very tragic in our history. There's a lot of concerts. There's a lot of festivals. There's every band and artist of the world that plays there. As a matter of fact, I was reading an interview yesterday of a famous guitarist who's going to be playing in Argentina next week, and he was saying that he loves to go back to Argentina, that people have like a passion towards music. It's there's an expression called the Argentine people for music son muy viscerales. Visceral means it's like your inner guts, to sort of explain it to you, but that it's like that's where the kind of passion for music stems from, and so he was commenting as how he likes to go back, because he says that it kind of really sets the standard musically for like the rest of the countries where they go. It kind of sort of carries on, a good vibe. Yeah. But both my grandfather and my father passed away in the past few years, but They until they died. My grandfather was he was 97 when he passed away, and so he would listen. Everybody, like everybody who's like 60 and above has like a small little radio, and everybody listens to tango from that age up and above. And my grandpa at 95, 96, or however old he was, every single night would go to sleep with the little radio, listening to tango till 3, 4 in the morning. And so it's definitely a part of that generation of, you know, what music was to them.
Living in an undeveloping country is tough, because here we got so many things, take it for granted, like have like hot water when you want to take a shower, or have heater or a carpet in your room, stuff like, you know, some comfort or stuff like that. And we don't have that much of that stuff in like daily basis, so every single detail is more complicated. And in 2001 our economy collapsed and the country politically was a mess, and we had 5 presidents in like 2 months, and I was like, I can say, tired of living that kind of environment. Oh yeah, one of the worst was in 2001, and I was working as a manager in like a kind of Sears stores, like we were selling appliances. Yeah, like Sears stores. So I was the manager, and where people, you know, sending another political movement, because was one. The economy collapsed and was a really mess. The government, banks went to. They took our money. It was really a mess. So one of the worst memory was when I was in this store, and we had to take all the appliances, the products, you know, the equipment, the stereos, everything, TVs we have on display. We have to take them, hide them in the basement, and cover the store pretty much, so people can see from outside, and we lock ourselves in. We were really scared because it was a lot of people coming from a different town, and they were broken into stores, stealing, mostly like food markets, right? They were stealing food, and there's nothing that the police could do about it. Well, actually, police did, but it was some sort of repression. And from my older brother, he introduced me to rock. So I always remember my very first rock albums I heard was Dark Side of the Moon of Pink Floyd, Supertramp, the live album Paris, one from a band from Argentina called Sui Generis, with one of, I guess, is our best musician ever. She's like our Beethoven. His name is Charlie Garcia. He's very famous, great composer.
Voy buscando el placer de estar vivo, no me importa si soy un bandido.
He's a genius. Yeah, I always remember, yeah, it was like an afternoon, we have like a playroom in the back of our house, so we used to pass a lot of time there. My older brother, he's 5 years older, he was hanging out with friends, so you know, I like to hang out with them. So I hear this music and it blow my mind forever. Oh, that's another good one. Could be like a family memory about music. When in 1983 Thriller came out and was a huge success everywhere, we were watching the video clips. It was a TV show every Wednesday night called the Michael Jackson Night. So they play all their video clips and, you know, some other artists as well. So we were together watching this TV show every Wednesday night. Yeah, definitely that was one big one. So that was my impression about America. Like they are, you know, cold people. They only care about, they are materialists. They only care about, you know, change the cars and just work from 9 to 5. They don't care too much about family, friendship.
How does that change now that you're here? Your vision of what America is?
Changed my vision about like. Well, I knew it, but reinforced my opinion that USA is not the one to blame about our problems. And I learned that there's a lot of good things about USA and people from USA. You know, I guess government sucks everywhere. I guess it's a fact. No one can say no. It's a fact. We have thousands of years of history that prove that government really sucks. But it gotta be like this until we find another better way. That might be our responsibility. So I don't think my generation could see that change, but hopefully someday for the
Adiós
generation to
muchachos,
come.
compañeros de mi vida, barra querida de aquellos tiempos, me toca a mí hoy emprender la retirada, debo alejarme.